talk a lot about teaching people to get a handle on their money. That is adults, old, young, it is kids looking at picture books, and it's teenagers too. And we have a new book in the category today. Our next guest wrote a book specifically targeting teens to help them learn the crucial money skills that they can then use for life. Shannon Lee Simmons is a certified financial planner. She is a life coach. She is an author. This is book number, I don't even know what, 4 or something like that. She is also the founder of the New School of Finance. And she joins us now to talk about making bank. Hello,
Yay.
Shannon. Yay!
Hi. Oh, it's so good to see you.
It's great to see you. Now, your kids are young, like 7 and 5.
Yeah.
You actively chose to engage with this particular demographic years before you had to. Are you nuts? Like, are you absolutely insane? Says the guy with a 15-year-old.
Yes, but also it happened organically. So I had a lot of my own clients that, when I'm not writing, I'm doing financial advice, saying, our own financial plans are getting put off because my teen keeps spending on tapping their phone with my credit card in there that was supposed to be for emergencies. And then there's this huge conflict in the house. And can you help? So can you just chat with my teen? Can you just have a quick budget meeting? And that's how it started. And from that, I realized that there's a lot going on for this generation. It's interesting. They have a lot of new challenges that we never had to. And but they also really a lot of them really want to know what's going on. They had lots of great questions about money that also took me by surprise. So the idea for the book was born of that, is that I kind of got thrown into it, realized there's a lot to say. And then once I have that idea, it's I can't turn it off. I have to go all in.
Right. And you did. Your book is organized around 4 different characters: David, Tanya, Mia, Oliver.
Yes.
How are they similar and how are they different in terms of circumstance and temperament?
Yeah, so making characters was so important. So the book reads as like a novel, and it's fast. There's dialogue, and it's not like a textbook, which I thought was really important. And a lot of the kids that I was working with over the last 2 years were like, we're learning about this in school, but it's hard to read. So that was important. And I was collecting over the last 2 years, I've been working with teens and tweens, and I was collecting anecdotal stories, and you'd see the same things. And I'm sure you see this with people you talk to too. You see the same thing over and over, the same fears, the same hopes, the same situations. So these characters are born from that. So David is like your boy next door. He's shoveling snow. He's babysitting. He's tutoring. He's a king of the side hustle. You know what I mean? He's got a gig economy worker. He is running his own business, and he's trying to figure out, can I buy a video game console? My mom said no. What do I do? And here's all the dramas I have around that. Tanya, and he's 14. Tanya is our oldest, and she means business. She's a total boss. She has a real, a T4 job, not a real job, like a T4 job. It's part-time. She's saving up for school. She doesn't want to go into student debt. She's terrified of the future. She doesn't spend any money. And she wants to know, how much student debt does she have to go into for school? And she's worried. And what if I take a year off? So it's a lot of those bigger kid concepts. And then there's Mia, who's our youngest. She's on an allowance. She likes to spend money at Sephora. She's like, I want that list backer for $30. She's like, I don't care. And then her and her mom are having conflict at home because her mom's like, I'm not giving you any more money. And she's like, but life is expensive. And they're having all those kind of emotional conflicts. We talk about social media there. We tackle that. And then last but not least, Oliver, who's our most compelling character. He's 16. He represents our kid who is trying to invest. He's doing online sports betting. He wants to make money fast. He wants it now. He wants it fast. And he's very scared that he won't have more. So he is all about it in ways that are helpful and also cringe and terrifying. That's happening.
Right.
A lot of the kids, they're online sports betting. They are doing it. So he represents those kids.
My God. The number of surveys my kid has answered in the hopes of earning $1 million, providing their opinion to pollsters. I don't even know. So there are 5 money skills that you outline:
Yes.
track, save, spend, enjoy, and grow. Some of these, like track and save, we've been talking about in lots of contexts. What is the sprinkle or sparkle that you provide that is relevant for this particular demographic at this particular point in time?
Yeah, I feel oddly lucky on timing, but because it's such a weird time in the world as well. I think what I really noticed is that I've been doing this for 20 years on the front line of financial planning, and it's those same 5 skills that I talk about with adults every single day. Okay, if you don't know how to track what you're making, as in like you can't project, you don't really know what you make, that's a problem. If you don't know what you're saving for, that's a problem. If you can't live within your means, that's a problem. If you're punishing yourself with money, that's a problem. And if you don't know how to invest and you're putting all your money under the mattress, that's also a problem. So it's those same skills that, like, no matter how this demographics world changes, it doesn't matter. They have this skill that they're practicing. And what really struck me when I was working with this, and what I think is like the sprinkle of magic that I hope this book will have, I already getting really great reviews, which is exciting, is that this is a moment where they have their own money, maybe for the first time, right? And now they have access to this tool that's not their parents, and it's not a teacher telling them to do this. And no, I'm not an influencer, I'm not a finfluencer that's like, you know, a peer, but it's a trusted resource that's like a third party, and an opportunity to practice those skills in a way that's like safe. They don't have credit cards yet. They don't have investment accounts yet. So they can practice and fail and practice and fail. And I also have a lot of parents who have been reading it at the same time, and it kind of eases up on them too. Like, okay, let's have a talk about this in a much more managed way. But what I think is getting kids excited about it truly is that because of the research I did and for 2 years working with them, they see themselves on this page. They're like, that's like me. I have so many kids being like, I'm like this kid. I'm like Oliver.
Right.
Oh, I'm a David. Oh, I'm a
Right.
Mia. I'm such a Mia. Like, oh my God, I'm Tanya. Or my sister's like Oliver, or like this kind of thing. And I think because I use realistic ways that they can practice tomorrow at lunch, tomorrow when they go to Starbucks with their friends, they can use the skills that we're talking about in a real way that feels for them and realistic, then I think that that's what the sprinkle of magic is. It can get them excited. It's fun to read.
And it is resonant for those who read it. I can imagine there are those who are reticent to read it. I have a 15-year-old, as I mentioned. They don't
Yeah.
want anything to do with anything that is related to Papa's work, not
Yeah.
interested. What are some things that you would say to parents to, I don't know, like just like slide the book into their backpack or put it on the bedside table and mention
Yeah,
nothing? What are the way,
totally.
or bribe them, just
No, I
bribe them.
think bribery is huge and consequences. So I've noticed that over the time with this, there's three different like sort of attitudes from the teens. So the first is like, I'm keen. Awesome. We have no problem here. That
Right.
like you have a keen kid who just got their first job and wants to learn all about money or is asking investment questions, like, and an avid reader, like plunk this in their lap. They're gonna go boom, done. They're gonna gobble it up. Then there's the sort of like conflict-based situation where there's conflict, there's, you know, they're constantly overspending, they're asking parents for money, many parents are like, no, or like there's fighting about money. And one of the things there that's been really effective is like, okay, you know, you're cut off, but not in a big way, not in a terrifying way, not in a huge threat. Just like we're pausing all support for 1 second. We're both going to read this book. Parent is going to read this book. You're going to read this book. We're going to read it at the same time, and we're going to utilize the strategies here so that you feel supported. Because I want to support you, but I also need to draw some boundaries so that you understand, like, what do you actually make? What can we actually afford here? Because maybe I'm all wrong. Maybe I'm wrong as the parent. I think you're spending money silly and you're not. And maybe I need to back off my own judgments and using that. And then once we come up with a plan together, we'll reinstate the money. The doors are back open, but you got to read this first. So that's been another tactic. And then last, like straight up bribery. So I've had lots of parents report that they're like, I will pay you money to read this book. So I had one mom opened up, actually a couple have opened up like an investment account on their like, and they're like, you read this book, I'm gonna put $50 in there and I'll buy whatever stock you want. You can watch it. You can do it. I no shame. Like whatever you want to do, you can like buy, but you got to read this book first before you do that. And then they read the book and then they kind of like quiz them and see like, do they actually read it? But what's been reported back is that even the kids who didn't want to read it, once they start it, because it's a quick,
Right.
fast read, it's like a
Yeah.
book. It wasn't a slog. And so it actually ended up becoming like a positive thing, but I get it. Because sitting on the front of it, you're like, yeah, right. I don't want to read that book.
One of the massive differences between my teenagehood and my child is the challenge that everybody, but teens in particular, have with instant gratification. Because
Yes.
back in the day, there were very few ATMs. The banks closed on the weekend. You know, like there was
Yep.
no teen didn't have access to a credit card.
No.
Whereas my teen is exposed to all the scrolling and all the things, and so their capacity to want is 1,000 times more than it ever was
Correct.
for me. How do you address what's going on in our culture that in some ways puts them at such a disadvantage?
Yeah, I actually discussed this in the Mia chapter, is the effect that like lifestyle inflation on teens, right? Like an $80 primer at Sephora. Like I was buying lip smacker for $5. Like what?
Right.
Right. And and that's, I don't mean that shaming because that's what's normal for them. And so I think it's just number one, addressing it in the sense of like calling it out for what it is in the same way that with adults, sometimes, you know, if an adult is scrolling through home renovation stuff, they start feeling yucky about their own house. And sometimes just acknowledging like, hey, did you know that like your house doesn't suck? You're just endlessly showing yourself content that's making you feel like it sucks. Like maybe you can pump the brakes. You can even translate that into like ways that teens do. What I really think is the big issue as well is they don't touch money in a physical way.
Yeah.
So it feels like this really like a made up system that they interact with. They get constantly marketed to. The idea of want is instant. And then they see us tap, they tap, everyone's tapping, right? And so I think that really comes down to parents as far as at some point they don't have access to debt. And at some point, they're going to want something that they can't quote afford, and they're going to come to you. And that's why I think parents have been reading this book and feeling like it's giving them permission to set some boundaries, but in a healthy, positive way. That's not just, no, that's stupid. And so like, which we all want to say, and I think that's where the opportunity to read the book kind of comes in and like talking about it. And then I had one character, the David character, he wants something, he can't have it. He wants it right now. He wants it right now. And so his mom's like, fine, I'm going to act like a credit card. I'm going to lend you the money. And then you're going to pay, you're going to read this book, you're going to make a plan and you're going to send me that money every time you get a paycheck. And otherwise I'm charging you interest and I'm taking it away. So again, this is another way that like acknowledging that the instant gratification that credit cards allow us to do, and then giving them a chance to practice paying back debt. And then the consequence is like you lose access to the thing that you wanted. So it goes away if you miss a payment. And this is a tool for parents as well that can teach kids how to practice having debt so that when they are 18 and they get the credit card, they're like, I know what this is all about. I know what happens if I don't pay this back. This is not good.
Yeah. Mom takes away my Switch. And
Mom takes away my Switch. That's it's a video game console in the thing.
And then she charges me 25% interest until I pay.
And she
Great
sure
life
did.
lesson. Of course she did. Of course she did. Really, I really appreciate, Shannon, you writing the book. There is a need for it, and you're just the one to do it. So thank you for joining us to talk about it today.
Thank you for saying that, Bruce. That means a lot coming from you. Thanks so much.